How do you deal with PMS? In as many details as possible, how do you avoid emotional eating and what other tools can replace it? What are your thoughts on the toxic diet culture? How do you handle jealous comments, attitudes from other women about your appearance? How much cardio should a person do in a day to drop fat and get very lean? What's the trick to not get super bulky, big legs with all this weight training?
Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we got to challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and challenge at a time.
Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome back to another episode here on my Challenge Your Norm podcast, where today I'm doing a Q&A, and I just took a little glimpse over the questions, and I'm very excited to answer the first one that just popped out to me because I am in the midst of that right now. And the question was, how do you deal with PMS? And yesterday, I started to feel like I've been feeling so happy over the last many, many weeks and just on top of the world. Happy. Of course, with obstacles and challenges coming my way as always, but just been very mentally strong and in a great place. And yesterday was the first day where I started to feel a little bit like down, low, questioning certain things in my life. And I was just like, what's up with me? Like, what just happened? Because nothing had happened, but my emotional state was just slowly starting to change. And I was like, just questioning it. But yesterday I did question myself, maybe it is because I'm getting my period soon. And this morning, once again, I wasn't at my optimal state. I was happy and grateful, as I always am, doing my morning routine and my journaling and meditation, everything. But I was not as high as I typically have been these past few weeks. And then I started to feel a little bit of a cramp in like my lower back and belly. And that's when it hit me. Oh, okay. I was right yesterday when I questioned whether or not I was about to get my period, because now it just all makes sense, right? And for me, something that has been so incredibly helpful, a switch I made, was just knowing that, oh, I'm just about to get my period and it's normal for my hormones to be a little bit all over the place and for me to maybe feel a little bit lower. Because what I used to do in the past was I would make myself feel worse from feeling these things come up. I would ask myself, what is wrong with you, Pernilla? Why are you so low? Get your ass together. Like, stop being such a blah, blah, blah. Like, I would speak so negatively to myself because I was feeling this way, because I like to be a positive and happy person. When I then would start having these emotions or pains come up, I would make it worse by being so cruel to myself. And my hope for me sharing this with you is, I don't know how you speak to yourself when you're feeling this way, but for me, it's been so helpful just understanding that, oh, this is just your body reacting to the things that are going on inside of it. And it's okay for you to feel a little bit more negative today, or a little bit more slow or lazy or in pain. Like, just be so loving to yourself. Like, what do you need in this moment? What are the things that you could do to make yourself feel just a little bit better? And just the understanding of that and just the love that you can give yourself in those moments, for me, is what has made the biggest shift. It just helped me through it, because it's like, oh, this is just what's going on. And how can I love myself a little bit more through it? Let's find another one. How much cardio should a person do in a day to drop fat and get very lean? You don't actually need to do any cardio. Dropping weight is all about being in a caloric deficit. If you only do resistance training, weight training, and develop muscle, and you're in a caloric deficit, you will become more toned, look more defined, lose a little bit of weight, or a lot of weight, depending on how much in a deficit you are. However, I'm someone who does cardio every day, and there's different definitions of cardio, because cardio for some people can be walking, and for other people, cardio is like sprinting, right? So for me, cardio is just movement. I do movement every single day on top of my resistance training because I love it, because it makes me feel incredible. And sometimes, yes, if I have a lot of work to do and I have to be by my computer for the majority of the day, that means I'm going to be walking on my walking pad while I do my edits. And yes, sometimes that's a little annoying, but it also makes me really feel so much more energized and creative. So cardio is so incredible for your heart health and just mood. And oh my gosh, we could make a whole episode about why cardio is phenomenal for every single human. But when it comes to weight loss, cardio is really just helpful to burn more calories, which means you can eat more food or easier be in a caloric deficit. So this idea that we have to do cardio to get lean is actually not necessarily accurate in my opinion, because it all comes down to a caloric deficit. And what I've spoken with a lot of girlfriends about is how when you increase your cardio, you also naturally get more hungry, and that's where our appetite can increase. And when our appetite is increased, it can be harder to actually be in a deficit. So for every person, it's really just about figuring out what's like that perfect sweet spot where you're doing cardio to the extent that it feels good and maybe it helps you be in a little bit more of a caloric deficit, but also not having it be so extreme that your appetite just increases to such an extent where you end up eating everything and anything that you can see in your surroundings. And another question that I just saw was how long it took for me to see results when I first started my fitness journey. And at that time, I was still pursuing dancing as a career, and I was actually doing a lot of cardio, but I hadn't seen the results I wanted. I just had been doing a lot of cardio and eating a lot of food, especially a lot of carbs. Like my diet consisted of so much pasta and oatmeal and ramen noodles. Like that was what I was eating. Yes, sometimes I'll have like a canned tuna or with mayo and mix that in my pasta or something like that. But I was eating so much. So it was the first couple of months when I really got committed to wanting to get in really great shape. I saw results very fast because I was doing a lot of cardio and I was suddenly like, okay, I'm going to be in a deficit. And then I was probably in too much of a deficit, but I lost weight very quickly. And because I was so much in a deficit, I also lost muscle. That's one of the dangers when you're in too much of a caloric deficit, is that you also will lose more muscle on that journey. So they say being in about 10 to 20% caloric deficit out of your entire calories. So like, let's say your maintenance is 2000 calories, then you can be in about 200 to 400 calorie deficit a day. It will just help you not damage anything within your body and do it in a more healthy way. They say that when it starts being 25% in a caloric deficit, so that would be like 500 calories out of 2000 calories, that's when like probably shouldn't be in more of a caloric deficit than that. But something I also will say that I've found with a lot of the women that I work with is that oftentimes we think that our maintenance calories is a lot higher than it is. And then when we actually start looking into it more, how much a person actually burns, usually their maintenance calories is oftentimes lower than what they originally thought. So that's one thing that often happens. And another thing that often happens is that we think that we've tracked, but then we don't really count in the extra 2 tablespoons of olive oil or dressings on our salads that really add up. Like 2 tablespoons of olive oil, I think is like 240 calories, which, you know, if you add that every day, then you would actually end up gaining weight over time, because 240 calories surplus, I think in 2 weeks, you would have ended up gaining a pound. So those little things add up. And I think a lot of the times those are the little tweaks that we can make that we aren't even paying attention to. And when it comes to like the Apple Watch, I recently got a Whoop, and I have an Apple Watch because I'm just experimenting, trying to, play around with it. And something that's really interesting to find is that my Whoop tracker shares that I am burning a lot less calories than my Apple Watch. And I've always known that my Apple Watch definitely overestimates how much I actually burn, which is wild to say, because if I'm on the Stairmaster for an hour, I'll burn like 300 to 400 calories. If I'm going hard AF, yes, it will be more. But if I'm doing my hour on the stairs that I sometimes do, I don't do that every day, don't worry. Even with that, having tracked like on and off for many years, knowing what I eat compared to what my Apple Watch is telling me is my maintenance or what I burn throughout the day, I've known that my Apple Watch is off and tells me that I'm burning more than I actually am. So I have to eat less than what it's telling me. So like if it's saying that I burn 2,700 calories, it's probably more likely that my maintenance is 2,400 calories on that day. And my Whoop is right now, it's still adjusting, I think, to me, but it's telling me that I'm burning a lot less than that. So it's interesting. And we all just got to figure out what, with playing around with tracking our macros and seeing over time what that does, how that affects our body. Over time, we will be more and more able to figure out what's our actual maintenance, where in the beginning we may need to just calculate or estimate, which is something that I help you guys do in my challenges. But sometimes it's accurate right away, spot on. We see the results right away. And other times we have an estimate, but then over time we'll see, oh, actually we have to be a little bit lower in calories, or we have to be a little bit higher in calories to actually see the results that we set our minds to wanting to see. What's the trick to not get super bulky, big legs with all this weight training? Bulky just means that you have a layer of fat on top of your muscles. If you look lean, you may have the same amount of muscle, but you just don't have the same layer of fat on top of your muscle. So bulky versus lean, you may have the same muscle, like two people who one is bulky, one is lean. They may have the same muscle, but one just has a higher body fat percentage and a bigger layer of fat on top of their muscles, where the person who looks lean has the same amount of muscle, but just has less body fat percentage and less layer of fat on top of the muscle. So what that comes down to is really nutrition. So the key to having not big legs if you're weight training is body fat percentage. And, that's about, maybe you want to lose a little bit of fat, and that means you have to be in a bit of a deficit. And while you're doing that, you are going to want to eat enough protein, 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight, and just progressively overloading with your workouts at the gym. And that is also something that I give in all of my challenges. If you want to join our November challenge or any other future challenges, depending on when you're seeing this, we really go hard in developing muscle. And a lot of people who join the challenge, they are losing fat at the same time because that's the goal. So progressive overload, whatever program you feel called to try, just go for it, because it is so hard to build muscle. Like, women think that they're going to go in the gym and just like poof up like a bodybuilder, but it takes years. Like, you can do a lot in a couple of months, but like if you were scared of going into the gym and looking like a bodybuilder, that takes years, and you're not going to get bulky from that unless your nutrition is in alignment with that kind of result. In as many details as possible, how do you avoid emotional eating, and what other tools can replace it? Oh my goodness, this is a topic we've spoken so much about inside of my challenge community, because it's something that a lot of us do, myself included, at least in the past I have. I'm just going to speak about my personal experience with it, but what has been my tendency has been that when I have felt anxious or lonely or stressed, or just any type of emotion that I haven't known how to take care of, I have gone to food to get that quick fix. I have gone to therapy and hypnotherapy with this. And what I've really come to learn and understand is that a lot of the time, my reasoning to emotional eating has been loneliness. It has been when I have needed love. And so I've gone to food and just eaten that away. But now, if I have the urge to reach for food that isn't going to make me feel good inside of my body, is hold my heart and ask myself, what do you really need right now? What is it that you are longing for? What emotion are you feeling? And how can you take care of that emotion at this moment right now? Because what we often do when we want to reach for food is escape those emotions that are from our past, that may have been developed due to traumatic experiences in the past. And as adults, we be according to our upbringing, unless we really commit to making a change. So it has been a journey for me to learn how to take care of myself in that way, in those moments. And I would say, to start, the first thing that is major is just becoming aware of the fact that you're about to do it. You're about to step into this pattern that you no longer want to do. I think it was Lynn from my challenge. She shared that what her new strategy was to count down from 3, like 3, 2, 1, push it away and leave, like go for a walk or something, which I found beautiful, because it's the same as the 5-second rule of how it works, that when you count down and then you have like an action to take after that, it can be really, useful and helpful. So that could be one thing. Maybe when you have the urge to get up from the couch, let's say, and go to the kitchen, that's when I'll like put my hand on my heart and ask myself, what do I actually need right now? But what I would love for everyone just to commit to is asking themselves, what is one thing that I can do right now that would help me step into this pattern that I've been doing? Whether that be counting down from 3, going for a walk, meditating. Anna from our challenge community, she shared that she gets up and grabs a cup of water, because then when she's drank the water, then she can kind of go back to then asking herself, like, what is it that I need in this moment? Or she just like doesn't feel the urge to binge eat anymore. Because what we really want to do is figure out what's actually going on, get to the root cause of what we really need. And I highly suggest that you go to therapy, because this is going to look different to everyone. But if you can't afford that, there's this book that I've shared many times, Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Emotional Eating. Yes, if that is what you can afford right now, highly recommend that book. It really helps you work through it and just puts a new perspective to it, because it's something that I'm realizing more and more. It's something that a lot of us do. And for some people it's binge eating, but for other people it's alcohol and it's smoking and it's sex, or it can be so many different things that we do to escape our emotions. And the more we are willing to dive into what it is that we're actually experiencing, the more we can unpack and thereby start developing the life that we actually want to live. Because if we keep being stuck in these habits that don't make us feel happy, make us feel stuck, we will not be capable of experience the level of freedom and happiness and fulfillment as when we actually start unpacking what we actually need and can create this space for the habits that will make us feel at our absolute best. There's so many layers to this, and I'm not a specialist, but I do feel like I've worked so much on it myself that hopefully something I shared could potentially be useful to someone else. Let's see what other questions we should dig into. Can I start a challenge midway through or have to wait for the new round? You can absolutely start a challenge midway through. I actually just developed a video for anyone who comes in just in the middle of it to walk you through everything. And I'm always inside of the group. Like, I respond to every single question in there. I'm so active in the group every day, and we jump on the weekly calls where people ask me everything and anything, and people share their everything and everything. Like, I am just one person out of so many people in this beautiful community that are there to guide and help and be so freaking incredible. So yes, you can join anytime you want, and I'll put the link in the description. And if this is the first time that you're listening to my podcast, then I run these challenges every month and have the most incredible community on planet Earth, where there's everything from a progressive overload training program that you can personalize to your own current fitness level, nutritional guide where you can determine your own nutrition approach so that you can reach your specific goals, journaling challenge, which there's a 30-day journaling challenge, there's a dream life planner, and then there's also a 90-day journaling challenge. So there's so much. Like, you can become a member, and then people join month after month so that they can, kind of add more into their plate. And there's always more development to do, right? So it's never like a fixed thing. Always have to continue to grow. At least I feel like I do, because if I'm not continuously growing, I'm not as happy. I love growth. I am a self-development junkie, and I feel like there's always more to do. And I can always sense that if I have been staying stagnant or not pushed myself, challenged myself for a little bit too long, I start to feel like something is missing. I just love growth. Tony Robbins shares that growth equals happiness. And I so agree. Also, can I just share? I just booked my first Tony Robbins event. I'm going in November, and I am so excited. I've been wanting to go to a Tony Robbins event for forever. I've done online ones, but this is in person, and I am freaking hyped, excited. And I hope that it also is going to provide me more things that I can share with you guys. So yes, you can join the challenge anytime, and we're always going to be there welcoming you with open, loving arms to help you reach all of the goals that you want to achieve and break through those barriers and limiting beliefs that may have been holding you back. Let's do 3 more. What are your thoughts on the toxic diet culture? I think we've actually come a long way. I think that there used to be this wild toxic diet culture that females just had to be as skinny as humanly possible. And that's what I grew up believing as well. And I think there was was this beautiful wave recently where the focus suddenly became about how females needed to learn to love their bodies in whatever shape, size, form it came in, and just completely eliminating this idea that you had to be skinny. And I think that was necessary for us to completely break out of the old diet culture, the old idea that you had to be as skinny as possible. And I think it has gotten even better today, because I think that when we had this idea that you had to be as skinny as possible, then there wasn't space for people who, were overweight, or they would feel not good in their bodies. But then when we transitioned into this idea that you had to not be skinny, it was almost as if you promoted anything that had to do with weight loss, then that was unacceptable. And I think different people need different things, right? Like if you're severely overweight and you want to lose weight, I think that's okay too. If you are skinny and you want to gain weight, that is okay too. If you're overweight and you're happy with that, that's amazing. If you're skinny and you love that and your hormones are thriving and you feel amazing inside out, then that's okay. Like there's no right or wrong body, right? And I think it's okay if you're overweight, or maybe you just want to get in badass shape and you want to lose a little bit of weight, you want to build muscle, that's amazing. Whatever it is that you want, that's okay. And I think we're coming to an understanding of that more right now, or at least that's the environment I'm in. And a lot of females are starting to understand the importance of developing muscle for longevity, and just like how positively it affects you in so many ways, and also for your older age, just how important muscle development is. And I think that that's kind of the new trend of like, you want to be strong. And I don't think you should ever follow a trend. Like you should follow the thing that in your gut you deep down want to do. There's no right or wrong way. And I think that at least throughout my journey, I've learned so many beautiful lessons. Like what I wanted 5 years ago is very different than what I want today. I am over 10 pounds heavier today than I was when I first was on my fitness journey. And that's because my goals have changed. And I learned so much back then. Nothing wrong with me back then. I have so much love for that woman, girl, whatever. And I have so much love for what I want for today. And I also have so much love for the person I was before then, when I was more body fat. Like we go through different stages. And I think the only thing that's important is that we listen to our gut and what we deep down want. And a great way to do that is journal and work through your thoughts. Some people it's journaling, some people it's taking walks in nature, but just like tuning in to what it is that you want for your life, and kind of just not listening to whatever trend or culture is going on outside of ourselves, because there's always going to be new things that people preach. And I think it's amazing to try different things, because that's how we get better and learn. But just tuning into, what do I actually need in this moment? What's the most self-loving thing that I can do for myself? And sometimes it's pushing through, doing the challenging thing to eliminate those habits that aren't making us happy. And sometimes it's letting loose and just loving life. No right or wrong. How do you handle jealous comments, attitudes from other women about your appearance? I don't see jealous comments. However, I do want to get into jealousy. But what I see are people who have different opinions about my body. And it used to affect me a lot. But now I've been doing this for so many years that I'm just used to having people have opinions about my body. But what I've learned on my journey is to love my body for what it is. And if I love my body when it's skinny, when it's chubby, when it's fit, then other people's opinions don't really matter, right? When I get affected from something someone shares, like I always will take it in and then ask myself, is there something about this that maybe I should listen to? And, that can help me grow. If maybe there's something someone says and I just question myself, is there truth to this? If there is truth to this, then that's just an amazing opportunity for me to grow. But if I have learned to love whatever someone comments on, it won't affect me. But if someone comments on something that I still have self-love work to do within, then that is when I know that I need to dive into whatever that is that affected me. If it triggers me, it means that there still is some healing self-love for me to do. And of course, it's never the most fun getting a lot of negative comments, and it maybe feels better to get positive comments, but really we should work on getting to a place where it doesn't affect us. But we are human, so of course other humans' energies affect us, but learning to protect that energy, our energy, is crucial, whether it comes to our personal relationships or on the internet. It's important that we protect our energy because it's the only thing we have, right? Like our time and our energy is wildly important. Wow. It's very early right now, and I'm just seeing the sun go up right now. It's like a pink, blue, purple sky. I see it out my window. I wish you guys could see it. Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. I do want to share something that I believe I have shared before about jealousy. I grew up in a home with two brothers, and my parents did such a good job. And you're going to think it's not a good job, but I'll explain why I think it helped me so much. They did a good job at not treating us the same. If my youngest brother got something, that didn't mean me and my older brother got something. Or if my older brother got something, that didn't mean that me and my younger brother got something, or same with me. We got something, whether it be, a material thing or help or whatever it is. We got something when we needed it. And I knew that even if my older brother got something right now, when I needed something, I would get something. So the fact that we weren't always needing to be treated equally, like if he gets something, I have to get something too. Because there wasn't that mindset, because I just knew if I needed something, then I would receive it at the time that I would need it. I'm thinking this is the thing. I've really questioned myself on this. I think this is the reason why I don't feel jealous of others, because I have this ingrained belief that was built in my childhood that just because someone else is getting something, it doesn't mean that I'm not also going to get something. I have a lot of massive things that I got to work on, but something that I really do well is when I see someone have something or get something, receive something, I really see it as an inspiration. I think we always have a choice, especially with social media right now. Like, if someone else is doing something, we can either choose to, let's say, be jealous, or choose to see it as, oh, why don't I have that? Or I can never do that, which I used to think I can't do that. Like, I've had so many limiting beliefs as to what I can and cannot do, which I still have. I'm constantly always working through that whenever I realize I'm thinking I can't have that. But what I do well is when I see someone else do something, I see it as inspiration. That maybe, yes, at first I'll think, oh, I can't do that. I'm not good enough to do that. But I don't compare. I really see it as inspiration. And I think we always have this choice of, like, when we see someone get something, do something, like, we can choose to compare, or we can choose to see it as inspiration, that if they can, then so can we. And yes, maybe there is a long, tough, hard journey to get there. But what I know to be absolute sure is that the people who have become more successful and have achieved the most things in life, they have had far many more failures. They've had far more failures to get there than just wins along the way. And what we often see on social media, for example, is just the wins, right? But we don't get to see the failures. And for me too, it's like the things I've achieved in life, I'm so grateful for. But I have had far more failures to get to the life that I get to live today than wins. And I'm grateful for every single one of them, because they have helped me become who I am today. I'm definitely going on a tangent here. But where I started off with saying was this idea that when I was a kid and I saw my brothers get something, it didn't necessarily mean that I wasn't going to get something when I needed it, right? And I think if we can have that outlook, that approach, whenever we see someone receive something, just have enormous gratitude for them getting to experience that, I think will also naturally help us attract more to us, right? Like, energies are real, whether you believe in it or not. My belief is that when we celebrate others for everything that they're achieving and only have joy and happiness for what other people achieve, we're also going to attract more of that ourselves. If we're in constant living in lack and thinking that, oh, I could never do that, have that be that, why are they getting it and I'm not, like, then I don't think we're going to be attracting it. But if we celebrate others, are happy for others for their happiness, then we're also going to naturally receive that ourselves. I'm hoping that next time you are, let's say, on a social media post and you're starting to let yourself down as to why can't I do that? Why isn't this working out for me? Really switching that thought around, becoming aware of it, turning that thought around and choosing the thought of, oh my God, I'm so happy for this person. Or, wow, if they can do it, then I can do it too. And then maybe start journaling on, well, if they've done it, what have they potentially had to work through? What has their journey maybe look like? And what could, from where I am today, what could my journey, my step-by-step plan look like for me to achieve that? And oftentimes success takes years and years and years and years. And then asking yourself, am I actually willing to do that? And if it's a no, then stop letting yourself be down about it, because you've just made it very clear to yourself that no, you're not willing to go through all of that sacrifice. Because whenever we bring on a new something we want to achieve, it is going to require us letting go of something else, maybe something else that brings us joy in life. And also there's this thing of like, if you want one thing that this person has, you should either take all of what they have. Maybe you have a family, you have a husband, you have kids, and you love your family life and your job gives you freedom, for example. But if you want the, let's say, wealth that this person has, who is single, has no family, lives by themselves in a massive mansion, you would have to take all of that. And would you really want to let go of all of this beautiful life that you have for all of this life that they have just to get their wealth? You know, that doesn't mean you can't continuously have what you have now and then develop well, but maybe there has to be a different approach or thought behind it. Okay, I'm tangenting now. Let's do one quick final little question and we'll end this episode here because I think I've been talking for a while. What should the final question be? Oh, this is perfect. I just got a notification that I'm receiving groceries and I'm about to go film a cloud bread pizza recipe, which you will be able to see on my Instagram and YouTube, and it is phenomenal. So be excited. I believe I saw that Hazel from my community group had sent in some questions, and I want to answer at least one of the ones that she sent because she is incredible. Opinion on smoothies. We'll take that because we said it was going to be light and fast and quick. This is actually interesting because I would rather eat my food than drink it, but I have nothing against smoothies. If you love smoothies, that's amazing. Like smoothies are great all around. It's fruit. If you add some protein in it, it's extra protein. Maybe you add some Greek yogurt, which is also great protein. Like smoothies are great. I love a smoothie. It's delicious. But if I had to like choose between eating the ingredients that are in the smoothie or drinking it, I would probably choose eating it. But now that I'm thinking about it, like a smoothie right now I feel like that would be pretty delicious. But actually, something that I do want to say about that is yes, smoothies are great. If you love smoothies, freaking yes, that's amazing. But what I will say is that oftentimes people are like, what do you eat? And I can tell you all day what I eat. But what's really important is that you eat the foods that you enjoy, because you can eat completely different to me. But if we take in the same macros as in protein, carbs, and fats, I do want to share something about that because I think I saw a question about like the split of your macros if you're on a weight loss journey. So I will share that as well. But first, let me finish this other thought that if you and I eat completely different diets, but our macros are the same, we could switch our food. And if my digestive system likes the foods you're eating, like if it's not like there's some foods in there that my body doesn't work well with, then we would see the same results. So it's not about what you eat as in the specific meals, but more so your overall calorie intake and macro splits, which the question I believe was something about like, what's your preferred macro split when you're trying to lose weight and build muscle? So in my nutritional guide, I have 3 different approaches that I kind of guide you through. And one of those are macros, or speaking about macros and guiding you through how to determine your macro split. And what I like for people to start with is figuring out how many calories should I be consuming a day to reach my fitness goal. And from there, figure out your protein. And typically it's recommended if you're trying to build muscle to get 1 gram of pound per day per ideal pound of body weight. So that means that, you have your overall calories, then you've determined your protein intake, and then you have carbs and fats left. And with fats, we need to at least get 20% of our calories coming from fat per day, especially if you're in a deficit, because fat is essential for us not to experience health issues. So my recommendation is to first figure out your protein, make sure that you get at least your essential fat, and you can even increase it even further. And then the rest of your calories can come from carbs. I actually eat majority of my calories coming from carbs. And yes, those carbs, a lot of them are vegetables and fruits because that's mainly carbs. But majority of my calorie intake is from carbs. So to give you an idea of what that could look like, it could be 30 fat, 35 carbs, and 35 protein, or 30 protein and 40 carbs. Or if you go extreme with the protein and a big deficit, it could be 40 protein, 30 carbs, 30 fat, and 40 protein. But that would be what some people would say overdoing it. But I do find that I love good protein. If I'm in a deficit, maybe that's what I would do. But because I'm not in a deficit, I've actually been in a little bit of a surplus recently. Because of that, then I've eaten mostly carbs. But if I were in a deficit, maybe I would be doing carbs and protein equal, maybe sometimes a little bit more protein, maybe sometimes a little bit more carbs. I think we should stop there because it's been a long episode, but I hope that if you found something useful that I shared, that you would write a review or give me some stars or share it with a friend who you think could find it useful as well. We are starting our November transformation challenge very soon, and I'm so excited to finish this year strong and getting in the best shape ever before the new year, so that when we wake up on January 1st, we are just already feeling incredible inside out. And I just love the community. I love our weekly calls, our daily chats in the group. And I would love for you to join us if you feel called. You can really personalize it for what you need at this very moment, and I am always there for any support you need. I'm so grateful that you took the time to listen to this episode today, and I'm about to go make some protein pizza. I hope you also eat some incredible food today and just have a beautiful day. And as always, remember, in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.